When I started in crypto, I had tons of stupid questions. And I think it's very well worth funding since we really do have quite a gift in terms of just how much we have in the community fund. Might as well use some and allow the support team to actually function on its own. One of the things that this does, it allows, like, let's say that the core team of developers to actually be less focused on support because the support aspect is handled by a group of people that's actually funded by the chain that deals with its own administration and management. So that's my view on this community support now, and also just kind of watching the shape of things to come with all of these DAOs that are being launched in the osmosis space. I'm really excited because I think they are actually going to meet that very high standard of being like genuinely somewhat autonomous. And all right, so that's my pro community funded DAO or initiative shilling and thought. I'd actually love to hear from anybody else, how they're feeling about that.
Okay.
And
Kevin, do you have anything you want to say on it?
Hey, yeah, sorry it took me a minute to get on here. Apparently I can't talk on a Twitter space using a computer. I gotta use my phone. Heads up to anyone else. Good morning, osmonauts and cosmonauts and fellow homies. I think that the community support DAO is not only is it an excellent way to put the responsibility of solving the problems that are affecting the community, like what Jacob was talking about, into the community's hands, but I think it's a really interesting experiment as well that everybody's going to have insight into, because like, who's the first people that you interact with when you come onto a platform, when you as Jacob was saying, show up and you have questions or you're stuck. It's the admin, it's the people who are running the support on the Telegram, on the Discord, and these, like, we really do need to back these people up. We need to double them up and include new staff as an influx of users is expected with UST and Terra assets coming onto Osmosis. And yeah, that's my basic feeling about it. Like it's a no-brainer. I have seen a lot of people talking about sort of some specifics of the wording of the proposal. I think some of it comes down to tone, like, and explaining maybe some of the background of how this group of multi-sig, the 5 people in the multi-sig, were kind of chosen or self-selected. And I I do think it's important that everybody knows that. And ideally that doesn't require redoing the entire proposal, adding that kind of information, since it doesn't change the core purpose of what the funding will do. It doesn't change the scope of what the project is. It just adds important information so people kind of understand the background. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm preaching to the choir with you. I guess we have to hear from other
Yeah.
people.
If anybody has any questions about it, I'd love to invite you up right now, and the floor will be yours.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, man. Like, I like, look, if there are people that have like real concerns about it and think like, oh, this is going to somehow, I don't know, the wording of the proposal or the scope of it, like here's one thing that stood out for me that I feel like, actually, you know what, I agree with that critique, is the aspect of like having a charter for the DAO, like some kind of set of basic rules about like, I don't know, things that we won't do or that won't be done with the money. I mean, they may seem super obvious, but like, yeah, I think it makes sense to have some that in place. But I also feel like that can be passed and will be passed and will be kind of like a growing document, like any, project's roadmap is like uh, concurrently with this proposal. So yeah, that's my feeling. Anyway, that that's kind of my basic thoughts on it.
Yeah, I
I
know.
would,
When we first were going about it, we didn't want to box ourselves in. That was the idea,
right.
and limit ourselves to like a certain amount of ground when we could be capable of covering a lot more outside of that.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like, I've made many proposals and budgets. I mean, I've started out as a documentary filmmaker, and I've worked as like a film and digital producer in corporate settings, and done all kinds of kind of scoping projects and negotiated funding for all sorts of stuff. And I understand it when people want really specific scope and results for that kind of a situation, but I also understand like this approach of like we have a runway basically of this funding, right? Like that is in one sense the scope, and it's sort of like we're going to see how many problems can we solve, how quickly with this. So much time can be wasted trying to guess, like here's what we think we can do with this and making lists, and like that's that part of budgets and guessing what you think everything's going to cost and how exactly how long everything's going to take. Like it's an important part of the process because you have to actually make those decisions, but like until you're really doing it, you don't know. And I think that like this is kind of a way to hit the ground running. um I do think that roadmap and those targets should be shared, and that's the plan.
Yeah, I think we would going to open a channel on Discord, or I got to talk to this guy more about it. But you
Yeah.
know, and keeping a fluid line of communication between Discord, Telegram, and I think we were even going to start a Twitter page so that we can take in whatever the community is saying from any channel, and be able to provide, tangible evidence that we hear you. Um,
Yeah, that we have, like, this is the other thing, man. Like, the goal isn't just for like us or the people in the multi-sig who are going to sign off on individual, funding initiatives to like decide everything. We want to get it. We want to know also from the community standpoint and from the different support admin standpoint, what are the issues that keep coming up, that are pressing. So like just yesterday when we did the call, I have a list here of like solving scammers on Telegram with a live chat that might route people outside of Telegram, adding 24/7 support admin staff, creating a detailed FAQ that's up to date. Like you said, the Twitter, onboarding a new team of Telegram admins, creating something like a digital suggestion box, uh, setting best practices for new users, just decentralized delegations as part of onboarding. Like there's a lot to be done, and there are major. I mean, anyway, I can keep blabbering, but if somebody else has important input, I would love to hear it.
yeah, this is definitely the right platform to use. Here we go.
I mean, I can obviously keep talking. I don't.
Sorry, I'm just trying to prove somebody real quick.
Oh, gotcha. Awesome.
I wanted to say that I wanted to say that I think you should totally keep blabbing. actually.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I
Thanks,
think you're
Jason.
like on an awesome one. Please continue.
All right, great. I try. I'm just trying to check myself sometimes because in my other whatever life I do stand up comedy, and I can sometimes I talk too much. So yeah, so like this is another thing too. Like when I try to think about um, issues like this, uh, like what's the purpose of going through all this work to create this DAO and get the consensus that we want and that we need really to do this correctly, to do it successfully. Like we don't want people to be like, oh, this was a dumb idea, the way that you guys did it, you pushed it through wrong or something. Like nobody wants that. What we all want to do is to solve and get ahead of the problems that we anticipate, from this massive influx of new traffic from UST pools from Terra asset uh, assets and pools coming onto Osmosis.
Yeah,
So
money just listed.
right, e-money as well. So like it's only going to grow, and I look at it as like, what are the major problems that we're facing? Like one is like new users who get stuck or lost in the sauce. Like I remember my first day on Osmosis, like there was all kinds of weird little things that I had to do to like get over obstacles. Like, oh, I have to set the gas to 5 million, but it's not gonna, but there's no fee, so don't worry about that. But do this. Like it was like a list of little things, and I was immediately taking what I had learned and onboarding all of my friends in my DGen, trading chat. So like, and that situation changes on a regular basis. So like we have to be able to handle that. The other thing, the scammers on Telegram inserting themselves, like that's a problem. It's irritating. I know that like most people use the common sense, and there's a lot of people who are like they understand the parameters of like if somebody DMs you directly, they're not a support admin if it's unprompted. But like even just yesterday, I was like trying to get claim rewards from, I think it was from like Citadel One or one of these Atom airdrops, and I went into their chat and I asked for help, which I haven't done it for well over a month, maybe ever. And the guy messages me, and then I'm like, immediately I'm like, he's like, can I have your wallet address? And I'm like, wait, I don't even know if I should give you my wallet address. I don't want to do that. Like, even though like whatever, that's not my private keys and what have you. Like, I understand. Like, people, it's confusing, even for people. I've been using crypto for 4 years.
They are very, very crafty. I know Dev and I both got approached by Sonny asking us for money.
Right.
That's like I was like, you want $5,000 for a marketing push? What?
Right. So like a money request is obviously immediately red flags.
Yeah.
That's one of the classics, actually. That's it happened to me at a couple of crypto projects where like you get an email or message, from boss man, right? It's like, you need money immediately. You call up boss man because boss man doesn't say that.
Right. But then it's like, if Sonny did DM you and was like, dude, I just need 5,000 Osmo real quick, I'll hit you back. You're like, well, if that's one guy, he's definitely going to hook me up. Like, yeah, I don't know.
He's got to pay
that
for sure.
yeah. Just don't. And I'm sorry, Sonny. I know this is going to screw you up at some moment in your life, but just don't.
You know what? I can offer some specific guidance here, actually.
Please
to the listeners and maybe like newer people in the audience, listen. There are fake Jacob Gedekians on Telegram. There are fake Sonny Agarwals on Telegram. There are fake probably every single Osmosis validator and team member. And hell, there are fake me's across other projects. And so what I'm trying to say is, most important thing is these fake people are most likely at some point going to ask you for your seed phrase. Do not ever, under any circumstances, give out your seed phrase. If you don't, you are most likely safe. And so that's pretty much the guideline and rubric, and also like look, if somebody is asking you something and it seems surprising, Telegram is a phone. Call them. Make sure it's them. And call them. Maybe don't do it through Telegram. Do it through another channel.
That's great, man.
Because
I hadn't heard
all
that
this
one.
stuff is being exploited.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I know that whatever Gen Z and pretty much every human being now hates to actually make real phone calls with their phones, but like that's brilliant because you'll. I don't think that these scammers are ready to actually do a solid impression of Jacob.
Yeah, no,
Excited.
that's the thing. I've seen fake me's that are like most likely based in Nigeria, based on like you look at their like social pages. But guys, you have to keep in mind they get pretty advanced.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point though that like regardless, like even if you call somebody and they're doing a good Sonny Agarwal impression, like don't give them your seed phrase. Like there's zero reason.
Yes, never under any circumstances
There's
give
zero
anyone
reason.
your seed phrase because like basically that's just bottom of the barrel security practice.
Yep.
And there's always another way to accomplish whatever they say they want than giving your seed phrase. So just
Right.
don't.
But to my point, like, I'm just whatever. I guess I'm just revealing this that like I had a moment where I was like I don't think I freaked out about sharing my wallet, which that I think a wallet address is not, if you particularly solicit help from an admin, it's not necessarily a red flag. It's just that your seed phrase, password, anything like that, access to your screen. I think I've heard
Oh
whatever.
yeah. Oh my god, guys. Here's another really good one. Okay. Download this small file. Guys,
Right.
that small file is always a script that runs on Windows and is going to exfiltrate your keys. So don't download small files. Somebody posts an MP3 in one of the. No, please, please don't.
Right.
Download nothing, please.
So I guess to me, like part of the evidence of the importance of this community support DAO is the fact that we have just gone into a bit about how all these various ways that you can get exploited. If we're literally doing some form of whatever community support right now, it's so important that we're doing it in real time. Like we can't handle the tidal wave that's coming with this one Twitter Spaces chat. Like it's we're going to need to really shore up our resources. So I think overall, like that to me is it's not. There are multiple sub reasons for where and why and how this funding will continually be used to hire new admin staff, onboard them, create resources, but like there's also that pressing matter on top of it, which to me clinches the whole thing, and we're accountable. Like the people doing this, even if I wasn't in the group, like they're getting onto uh for one, having a quarterly transparency report, which will likely be more detailed than the sample that's in the proposal itself, just based on everything that we've been talking about. Um, it's not going to be granular detail. Like we're not going to tell publicly broadcast people's, salaries or whatever, but like we're going to show where the money's going, what it's helping, and it'll likely be things that if you're on the Osmosis platform, like you're seeing this stuff. Oh, there's a new admin. Like you're gonna it should be stuff where you're like, oh yeah, I checked out the FAQ. Like you'll be able to verify this stuff happening in real time.
And the delta there, like in terms of project results, at least from what I've seen, is
I wasn't in it originally. There was somebody else, and so I think I was added to this a couple, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm a little bit later to the game. I wasn't. I don't remember giving input on the initial draft, but I've been in conversation with all of them because we've all clocked many hours. Like I was asking my wife the other night because she clearly is keeping tabs on how much time I spend on the damn Telegram. And I was like, how much time do you think I've clocked? Like realistically, um, in the various chats, helping, brainstorming, being involved. And she was like, at least 300 hours. Um, so, I mean, that's my rough ballpark is that like across the 5 people in the multi-sig, I would say at least 300 hours time. So like 1,500 hours of time. Um, and that's all interacting, uh, whatever, quashing FUD, doing our sort of informal volunteer onboarding of people, answering questions, like trying to come up with a use for Ion, brainstorming. I think the reason like these whatever that group was chosen is just that we were. I mean, I came on in I think the second week, but like pretty much off the jump, we've been present a lot uh, on a daily basis for no pay or anything like that, just like any other user would be. So there's only so much you can. I mean, the question is like, how do you scale that? Like, you we do need volunteer help, absolutely, but like, is everybody willing to volunteer and actually just sit there and continually answer the same question about why isn't my transaction cleared? There's only so much that you can, I think, as to Jacob's point, I mean, maybe I'm being a bit long-winded here, but like there's only so much that you can harness a volunteer army consistently, to give the best service and to have the best answers to questions as they come up. And like we need to scale, and it's lit. I think a lot of it. I don't know what the firm numbers are, but I heard them talking. I saw them chatting the other day about like maybe a dozen support staff or something. Like labor for the budgets of most things is, if you're doing it right, it almost always goes to people first, in my opinion. So just like labor, and then obviously crafting like a great FAQ, not like a crappy one. Crafting resources that we generate, in addition to the sort of, obviously the free resources are great, and if you, Joe, and other people who know of them have things that you found that are specifically about osmosis too, about the problems that people encounter there, please share them.
And I just wanted to speak a little bit about the community support DAO. I was chosen as one of the members by JP. I don't know, exactly why he chose me directly, or Dynamic, Kevin, or Justin, but he approached us directly. We didn't in back rooms decide that we're going to start a community support DAO. One of the members of Osmosis reached out to us thinking that we would be good to start this directive. I think the necessity of a community support DAO is just a community support system is underlooked sometimes. And I think that is because our admins just do a really good job of handling the current intake that they get. And, from hearing from them, it seems like they're at the point now where they are going, to get more and more overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And we have to be proactive in this approach to get ahead of what's coming with UST and the future bridges.
Absolutely.
Because if we're gonna onboard this amount of locked value, we're gonna need staff there to answer questions 24 hours, and just the amount of capital to fund a 24-hour live chat becomes very it becomes very expensive. And I think the community support DAO, with work from the community, it's going to be like an ongoing effort. This isn't going to be a one-time proposal that the community support team puts out that gets funded, and then all of a sudden there is a fully functioning customer support section of Osmosis. This is going to be an ongoing process between the admins, the community, and the community support DAO.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think that like it's probably going to be a pretty consistent feedback loop of us going, we're community members, but like I think that I suspect that one of the reasons that we were picked for this is that in the chats that we've been involved in and whatever the kind of debates, we've kind of like had decided amongst the group of us, the 5 people who are in the DAO. There's actually more people, like whatever, that like we're trying to find the best ideas for solutions to various issues on Osmosis, so that we can, like, if in any way, especially when asked by the team of like for feedback or what should we do with this or with that, what could we contribute is what we've been asking ourselves. And so I think that like I never ever have thought of like that, like 5 dudes is enough to come up with all the ideas that would be needed to solve this problem properly. Like, and our MO has always been, what is everybody else's idea? Who else has good ideas? We want to know, not just from what our, like, I don't just want to share what I think is best, and I think no one else can top me and I have the best take. I want to know, like, when we were in the chat and like Jaquan popped in and he was like, this is what I think you guys should do with Ion, or various people have arrived. Like, I've always been like, I want to hear from everyone, especially people who are who are formative members of cryptocurrency, but also people who just showed up and are like, this is what problem that I'm facing. I think this is a huge stumbling point. So I don't know. Maybe that's partly also why we were picked, because like
I don't want to.
We champion other people's voices too.
I don't want to take up all the time with community. We've gone 40
absolutely,
minutes.
dude. Yes, please put the brakes
Okay,
on this.
may I say a final word on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is about organizational structure and use of resources. So, like, if I had to guess, Sonny and Dev and everybody on the core team is likely working 14 or 16 or 18 hours a day. I know that I currently am, and I'm just one of the validators and an enthusiast. I'm also involved in other crypto projects, and I work a hell of a lot. I really like what I'm doing, and it's probably here's the thing with this DAO model. These guys manage themselves, and that is one less thing for everybody to think about. In addition to that, the accountability is very clear. If they fail, they simply don't get funded again.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
The simplicity of it.
That's a huge point.
Yeah, the simplicity of it is good.
If we don't serve the community in the way the community wants to be served, whether we think we did a good job in what we delivered, if the community doesn't see that benefit, we will not get funded again.
Yep.
So I think Sonny's in the room.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm back. I was stuck on the subway with Cody Gaddy, but now I am back.
Nice. Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
How was Messari Mainnet?
Messari Mainnet was great. I think that the world has finally. This conference has shown me like the world has finally opened its eyes to Cosmos. Like, you know, it was like the top conversation was cross-chain. It's like, where were you guys when we were saying that 4 years ago? But yeah, no, it's like, you know, like I feel like almost every panel I saw at least had some mention of Cosmos in some way or another. You know, you had like, you know, Tarun was on stage talking about how like the Cosmos bridging IBC is the best like bridging solution. You had Do Kwon yelling Cosmos at the top of his lungs for some reason. I don't know what that was about.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a really good conference.
Awesome. Can't wait to see some more highlights from it.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, this is a controversial topic, but I feel like I have to ask because somebody is wondering. Did you see anyone served like a subpoena from the SEC?
So for a while, I thought that was a meme, like, cause like there's like this one non-Twitter account that posted that, and then no one I knew like saw it happen. So I was like, all right, maybe this one guy just like. But then I found out, yeah, the second person confirmed it finally after like 2 days. It was Go, I believe.
Okay, I didn't know that. Well,
look, I mean, what happens is like the U.S. government, the one thing they will defend with their life is like their monopoly over money. And as soon as they see something like become a threat, like they find algorithmic stablecoins to be so scary to them because, you know, today they're US dollar backed, but the day, I mean, you know, Luna actually started off, Terra started off as being like SDR based, not US dollar based. And the day with the beauty of an algorithmic stablecoin is the day you want to like stop pegging to the dollar and instead peg to a different target, you can. And you know, like,
yeah, they
were scared of Libra, right? Like they saw Libra as such a big threat that they shut it down like ASAP. And I think, you know, I don't know. I think they're trying to get ahead of it again with Terra right now.
I think that makes sense. I mean, if I was, to me, it's a good. it is a sign of how powerful the algorithmic stablecoin model is, and how it's and also like the power of cryptocurrency that we're understanding. You know that in many respects, it simply is a better product.
Yeah, I mean, so luckily, Terra, you know, unlike Libra, is not a U.S. company.
Yeah,
you know, they're off out of the U.S. and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just so excited about like algorithmic stablecoins. I think like I've been on this mission since like 2019 to be like, how do we create digital fiat currencies?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think Terra is definitely like the closest thing I've seen so far.
Yeah. It's a really it's a really cool model.
So
yeah.
Some other things that might be worth talking about Friday. I'm assuming the upgrade proposal's gone through at this point. So Friday, maybe we want to talk about a little bit what to expect. I know the chain will probably go down for about a half an hour.
Yeah, the chain will go down for probably, hopefully should be less than half an hour, because this upgrade will be, you know, all the validators should be using Cosmovisor, which basically like will run the software upgrade process for them. Assuming they, you know, they have to like preset it up, but it's like when the upgrade time comes, it'll just like execute it. So yeah, but you know, yeah, you expect it, you know, just to be safe, expect it could be down for half an hour to an hour, but in the ideal case, it should be much faster than that. And then.
And what's the time? I know this is boring detail, but what's the time that's scheduled for?
It's hard to tell the exact time because it's actually based on a block height and like there could be a little bit of drift.
Gotcha.
But it's supposed to be sometime in the morning EST on Friday, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking like if it's around the epoch, then I think a lot more people would encounter it. But like,
You
yeah, I
can,
get
you
Right,
can
right, right. Yeah.
keep track on MintScan. It's block 131, or no, wait. Yeah, block it 1314500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you can just say like, okay, assume 6 second blocks, and then you can try to estimate what time exactly it will be. Yeah, sometime morning EST. So it should be sufficiently far before the epoch time, I think.
Diesel
Yeah,
Thought,
so
you had a question?
Yeah. Does anyone have any updates on the e-money project and their Euro stablecoin that's audited by Ernst & Young, and when that's going to be added to Osmosis?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jacob.
So I have been actually collaborating with Martin on getting the IBC channel set. It's been myself and Chandra Station working with him on that. I believe that the idea is to start pools on Friday after the upgrade. And I'm very psyched, of course. I mean, this seems like really cool stuff. That's what I've got.
It sounds like they're beating Terra to market, so that's cool. Thank you.
Sure.
wait, so you're saying that it's likely that e-money is going to be listed before Terra?
Oh, they're listed.
I believe. I think we're starting it up on Friday.
Okay, awesome.
I believe pools and the like.
My bad, I just tuned out for a second.
Hey, Kevin, could
Yeah,
you
just keep in mind,
turn your
there's
mic
two
off?
tokens. There's the NGM token.
Yeah, absolutely.
Staking token of NGM is the staking token of e-money chain, and then EUR is the Euro stablecoin. So and I believe what will happen is actually over time they're going to add more European-based stablecoins as well. So they should have like the Swiss franc at some point pretty soon, and then I think they're going to do some of like the Scandinavian ones. Yeah.
Rad. Let's see. I was gonna have Jack come up
Oh,
here.
I sent you up a little bit more information about the upgrade. So yeah, so some other stuff to expect. After the upgrade, this is mostly a stability focused upgrade. What that means is it'll make the epochs much faster. It will decrease. How every time there's a bond transaction, the cost of the next bonding transaction in gas goes higher and higher, and it just keeps creeping up. That will be fixed, so that way now bonding transaction will go back to being a normal amount of gas, not 40 million gas or whatever it is nowadays. Then we have that. We have more events. So events are like the way that like block explorers and stuff like know what's happening on chain. And so one of the big requests that a lot of people had is for like the liquidity reward distribution, have an event for that. So with this new software feature, it'll be easier for people to like build tools to like track your liquidity rewards and things over time. So that'll be nice and helpful. And then of course the Prop 12 distribution will finally happen. So that first day of liquidity rewards, or there was a confusion around whether the first epoch got rewards or not. So those rewards from that first epoch will be distributed at upgrade during the upgrade time as well from the community pool. I think those are sort of the main features. It really was more of a ability focused one and fixing a lot of the performance related issues.
I think Kepler's doing a release also. Dojmas couldn't be here today, but from what I understand, I think they're doing another release too, and e-money will be kind of listed on the side like all the other assets are currently.
I had a question.
Yep. E-money will be added to Keplr soon. And then, the Keplr Mobile wallet, we were supposed to submit it to the App Store for review on Friday, but got delayed. And then because of Mainnet was busy, but hopefully I think the plan is to get it in for review by like sometime this week or early next week.
That's exciting. I think I forgot about I lost track of the mobile wallet. That'll be huge.
Yep, and then you can also even use like Keplr. You can use Keplr Mobile, and then you can use it with like we'll have a mobile version of Osmosis coming pretty soon. Like, or you'll be able to use it from the web app, but like it'll be actually mobile friendly, which it's not
right,
now.
like a responsive.
And you can also just use. Yeah, exactly. And then also you'll have Keplr Mobile. You could use it with Wallet Connect. So, I tend to feel more comfortable holding keys on my like phone rather than on like a browser extension. So being able to just like use Wallet Connect to connect to Osmosis and keep my keys on my phone, that will be available with Keplr Mobile soon.
That's cool.
I feel exactly the same way about the whole phone thing. I don't know why I feel that. I mean, I guess it's like the mobile environment is maybe a little bit more hardened. You can do less with it, so less can go wrong. But I totally feel exactly the same way about keys on phones.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it is, so I don't think the current version of Keplr Mobile will have this yet because I think that takes a little bit more. I think you have to get like more like permissions from Apple to like do this, but like iPhones have this like secure enclave on the phone, which is like, there's a ledger in your iPhone, and so if you have your wallet application store key material in that secure enclave, that's like, way better security than like having it even on an extension for sure, or even like on a normal app on your phone.
That's cool. I learned something today.
Nice. Does anybody else have any questions they want to bring up?
Yeah, could I ask another question?
Yeah, go for it, bud.
Cool. So at Mainnet 2021, there was some talk about how IBC relayers could compete to lower fees as similar to like MAV. Does Osmosis plan on relaying any packets or setting up relayers to compete with the Cosmos Hub to relay IBC packets? And also, what's the timeline for superfluid staking, if you can comment on that?
Mm-hmm. So, keep in mind, so relaying is different than. I assume you're talking about being a router of sorts. So, relaying is what folks like Jacob do really well, which is like transferring IBC packets between chains, and that's not really something a chain does. Now, what you might be thinking about is like IBC routing, which is like this idea that like, okay, if you want to send tokens from a Kosh network to region, for example, maybe you would go, instead of having a direct IBC connection between a Kosh and region, you go from the Kosh network to the Cosmos Hub to region. And so if your question is Osmosis trying to compete with the Cosmos Hub on that? And the answer is no, but mostly because I think that, I actually think the idea of IBC routers is kind of silly. I think that most chains actually should have direct IBC connections to each other. And so
could you elaborate
you
on why they should have direct connections?
Yeah, because I'm not sure that having this IBC router gets you that much new. I don't know if it gets you that much benefit. So what do you get out of this? You get, well, okay, you have less IBC connections, which is good, but now you have higher latency, more fees, and more, and just like an additional security risk. Like, if you just do direct IBC connections, your security assumption is only the source chain and the destination chain. Now you have to also think about the security of the intermediary chain. And I just think that adding this intermediary chain doesn't provide that much benefit. The main benefit
Okay, that makes sense.
it does, it makes the life easier for relayers, where like instead of relay n squared number of connections, you only have to relay n. But I don't know. I think.
Hey, Sonny, you broke up after you said n squared connections.
That's right.
Is he gone?
Sorry about that. No, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so I think relayers will basically professionalize enough to the point that they can, they'll be able to handle the n-squared connections. I think the most difficult part of like relaying is running the nodes for more blockchains. And if you're already a relayer, like it.
Lost you.
Dang.
The costs are mostly in the node.
Oh, bummer. We're gonna have to hear this answer another time.
Yeah. I feel it.
I can kind of finish up
Yeah.
for him actually. So like, yeah, okay, relaying is kind of two things. First of all, the transaction costs, while significant, are not like that huge yet. Maybe on a high day, the Cosmos Hub will cost like $120 worth of the Atom token, right? So really not the end of the world. Right now, the big thing is that the node software gets a little bit unreliable when the relayer is querying it. Nobody has really done that volume of queries so routinely, and so like Gaia or the Osmosis daemon gets a little bit angry, and I have set up like an array of osmosises and an array of Gaias. I know Jack Zampolin did the same thing, and it's picky. If you are, it seems that 75 or 50 milliseconds is the barrier. So like, if your relayer is more than 75 or 50 milliseconds away from the nodes, it begins to get really unreliable. When I reduced the latency in my setup, the performance went up dramatically. Anyhow, it is a fascinating challenge. And if there is anyone here who is into blockchain and DevOps and systems orchestration, please send me a DM. I'd love to talk to you. We have really cool problems.
Yeah. Sorry. My headphones are connecting and disconnecting. So what I was saying was, so the router. So I how I see it, how it will evolve is, I treat every chain as the router uh, for its own native tokens, which is like, that's why there was that proposal on the Cosmos Hub, Jack's proposal, whatever the most recent one was, for adding the IBC routing, like multi-hop routing. I don't necessarily agree with the framing of the proposal that it's like we want the hub to be the router for all tokens, but I think the feature is actually really helpful because it acting as the multi-hop router for atoms is really useful. So, because let's say you have atoms sitting on the region, right? And you want to send them to Osmosis, what you should do is unwind it back to the Cosmos Hub and then forward it to Osmosis. And so being able to do that all in one smooth transaction rather than having to like withdraw to the Cosmos Hub and then make a transaction to send to Osmosis, I think having that as a feature would be very valuable. So I think actually every IBC chain should adopt this feature so it can do that with its own native tokens.
Okay, and then you think that's where it's headed? You don't think we're going to have one primary service or routing as a service?
No, I don't think so. I think having all the IBC transactions like spread over many more chains and more connections actually will help the throughput and latency, and it's how you like avoid getting into like a bottleneck situation.
Okay, thank you. And could you comment on superfluid staking or not yet? Because I know that's your number one priority.
Yeah, it's our number one feature development priority. Right now we're working. There's a couple other things that we're working on as well in parallel. So getting the MetaMask support for Osmosis, so that So there's like there's one channel of things where it's like sort of getting ready for the new onslaught of users like coming from both Terra and from Ethereum, and so that's one thing we're developing. But yeah, then Superfluid is of course the other, and kind of what's in that that Terra and Ethereum side as well is getting like a stable swap up and running, because I imagine there'll be like UST coming from Terra and then like USDC coming from Ethereum, and so we want some sort of stable pools for that. But yes, Superfluid is also the other like main thing we're working on. I know Dave said his goal for that was like by November or so. Yeah, that it's just something that's in development. There's a lot of changes that need to be made to the staking module, and whatever changes we're doing, we're also trying to upstream them to the Cosmos SDK.
I'm not hearing Sonny. Is anyone else?
Yeah, I'm hearing him.
Yeah,
Um,
he's good.
so we want to get those changes upstream, so that way it's like the Osmosis version of the staking module stays as in line with the mainline Cosmos SDK as well. But yeah, so ideally targets are around like November or so for like a full like V1 of Superfluid staking.
Awesome, very exciting. Thank you.
Is there anybody here that is from the Shapeshift community that could maybe shed some light on how the integration is going on the Shapeshift side? I know a lot of people are pretty curious about the integration and the proposal that passed recently.
I think maybe we can make a next week's call. We should make a active effort to just like reach out to them and get joined.
Yeah. So you're on notice. I will contact you soon. Cool. Well, it's about an hour. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody have anything else? Well, thanks for coming. Maybe I can get Jack in. Oh, we got one. Kevin? Did you get disconnected, bud? All right,
Yeah. Oh, I had one thing, unless that was somebody else.
Go ahead. I was just signing off. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, just real quick. So Sonny, at one point there was a chat about this idea of being able to see like the total quantity you had of say a single asset, even if it was pooled across whatever different pools on Osmosis. And
yeah,
I mean, I know there's so many other priorities, but like, I don't know. Is there any thoughts about that? Like, I think it would be super helpful for users to be able to quickly, know those, their totals at a glance.
Yeah, so I believe the data team is actually working on this right now. I think they're building sort of an API to provide this information, and then that should then be, once their API is ready, then we'll be able to show that on the front. We'll display that on the front end.
Awesome, thank you.
Sweet. Well, Sonny, Jacob, Kevin, Mike, everybody who came up and spoke.